Hello, and thank you for joining me on the podcast this week. Well, I'm joined by actually someone in LA that was introduced to us by Gretchen Wharton, the one and only Gretchen Wharton, who's been on the show, as has her wife, Natalie Watts. And my guest is Sharra Romany, who actually has worked with them. Her husband has worked with them. It's all part of one big family, isn't it? I mean, you get to know everybody in the business eventually, Sharra. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Chris. And yeah, Gretchen is, I want to say, not use the word old friend, a long time friend.
Yeah.
And luckily now she's also been working with my husband for years. So, but originally I like to claim lots of those people as my friends.
Okay.
They were my friends first in the business. And, but it's wonderful that these relationships just keep going on and on. And every time I see people, I just feel really lucky to
Yeah.
that they're still here and I'm still here.
And you're still in the business, exactly. And of course, Gretchen has been on the not only been on the show a few years ago now. I think the first season she was on the show, and she has introduced me to so many people in the business. You know, guests that have come on the show and shared their stories. So we're delighted that you've had time to join me because you are about to go off on a shoot, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have another job today. It should be pretty easy and fun.
So let's start with what you might consider, Sherry, to be your career highlights. You know, because I can go onto your IMDb and I can look on your website and I can see a tremendous portfolio of work now in your career. But what would you consider to be your highlights?
I really like the documentaries that we've made that have social impact campaigns, really. Those for me, because at the end of the day, what I would love to do is be using my camera to tell people's stories whose stories are not being told or that need highlighting. And so in the last few years, we've worked with Make Good and Make Good Famous Summit and the uh, what is that? The what is that prize called? Anyway, basically they're awarding small organizations all over the world with both cash and social media videos and things so that they can raise more money. But very tiny organizations all over the world, a lot of them are women. And the work that we've done there has been that's what I want to do. I also love making beautiful commercial things, but when I've been in the room with these different people and just felt like, oh, I'm in awe. I get to do this. This is what I get to do. I'm lucky to be here and get to capture you in this moment. And then I know that what I'm doing is going to help you get your whatever organization they have get further along in funding and in sight so that people can see, you know, who they are and what they're doing. Really, those are the things I love. But I like to be with people and tell their stories. So I have done a lot of reality TV and I did like it so much when I spent 6 weeks, 12 hours a day with people. They would never know I was there, but I really liked hearing who they were and getting to know them that way. So at the end of the day, I just like to be with people and hear their stories.
If you get to choose what you work on, then it's those types of projects that you would gravitate toward.
Yeah, it's weird. I haven't had a like I'm choosing something, you know, I'm going out and getting things come to me and they always seem to be the right thing at the right time. Even if maybe afterwards I'm like, oh, that was hard and not my favorite, but ultimately the growth that I will have from that experience. So it used to be back in the day for a lot of us, I never said no to a single job. Any job that came, I took it unless I was on something else. Um, no matter what its content was or how much money it was, I just said yes. And then I had children. I had to change that a little bit because they were the priority. So I would take the things that I knew I would like, that I would feel good about, I would make money at. And, but really the projects that I want to do come to me. I would love to do more things, maybe more in terms of quantity, and not because I need to, but I do really just like my job so much. And, you know, like anyone, when you're at home, you may not feel like yourself because you're not doing the thing that you feel is most you. So a lot of time at home is hard for me, like a lot of us. So I prefer to be out working, even if it's for little money or even if it's something that seems like it's not that important.
Well, you're the epitome of a working mother, aren't you? Three children.
Mhm.
Obviously, your husband's in the business as well, and you're juggling that life of being a wife and a mother to three children, and pursuing the career that you want to do. How do you find that balance now? There's the children are growing, and their demands are each very different, right?
Yes, I am an Uber driver for my children,
Yeah.
but that's going to change in just maybe 5 weeks. I have a child that's going to get their license, so we're
Ah,
very excited about that possibility and doing a lot of lessons so that when she's ready, we feel safe with her getting behind the wheel. The ultimate independence, which is very interesting because I have my grandmother never drove a day in her life.
uh-huh.
My stepbrother is actually visiting our parents and he was like, "Oh, I haven't driven a car in 5 years." And for me, the feeling of driving and then not driving for a few years while we lived in Egypt at first, I did end up ultimately getting my license and driving in Egypt, which is a fun experience, but it's a tool for me that it changed as soon as I could drive. Everything opened up for me, so I know that's coming in the next 5 weeks for her, and it's very exciting.
This is
But
Sophia. You're
Sophia, yeah.
yeah.
So, yes, working mother, things are changing. It's so much easier for them now. They have all their independence and they're each finding their projects and the things that interest them. And we're very education focused in the sense of choice. So we homeschooled our children for many years so that we could travel and work.
Hmm.
And and now they've chosen each their own program. One is in public school, one is in a private school, one is still homeschooled, and and I love where they are, and I think they're the two older ones are very happy because it's their decision. What they're doing is their decision. So that part has been really fruitful because it took a long time to get there,
Yeah.
a lot of hours, but it was really wonderful to have support. So we had babysitters, nannies, grandparents that came in, and I always felt like any child is better off when they have more loving arms and more opinions and more points of view because I'm not perfect. I want them to know that I might be saying something, but it could be wrong, and
Hmm.
not that I'm the hammer and everything falls after that. So we had some wonderful support system. Susan Siskin was one of our nannies at the beginning who just constantly read to our children. Never didn't have a book in her hand, and as a result, I have a child that you'll probably see him walk by with a book in his hand reading, like because of her influence and her love and her attention, and just got us where we are right now. So, but the homeschooling and traveling I still love it. I would prefer to do that. I would prefer to go on a job, take them with me to wherever we are, and get someone to take them out and explore where we are. That's really how we were doing it. And it was very difficult. I did a documentary called The L Word in Mississippi, and I had a basically brand new, you know, children. They were 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, I think, at the time. Took a babysitter with me, went and did that job, DP'd it, and she would take them to different parks and different places in the town that we were in.
Right.
That time period, I think they may not really remember it, but for me, it made it worth it. I could come home at night and they'd be there.
Hmm.
And that was amazing and hard, but we did that for many years. So,
You got past that. Now this is the two boys, right? How old are they?
so my daughter is turning 16, then I have a 14 and 9-year old. You're going to see the little 9-year old's head keeps rolling by. He has, we have one of my favorite pieces of equipment is we call it the booty scooty. So when we're shooting on our shoulder with a bigger camera, we like to be able to just sit down and then roll around on a butt dolly.
Yeah.
And I have it at home, and everyone just gets on it and starts scooting around the house or does it on their belly or whatever. But somehow, this piece of equipment that is not a camera, that is very integral to my camera operating, is now a favorite thing in the house. So I think I might have to get one for them as well.
Yeah. Great play toy, right? Great way to
Yeah.
get around. Yeah. Very smooth. Right, for
It's
them.
just fun. You
Yeah.
just push, and when you have a camera, you'll see all the camera operators on multicam shows sitting on them, scooting across the floor. Like even when they're not working, if we're down for a second, people just enjoy it. It makes you feel like a kid.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I can hear it rolling around right now.
I'm going to bring in cameras now because you mentioned to me before we started recording that you have a camera that you're using that has a story to it.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch it because sometimes it'll just turn off. But the camera that I'm using here, it's a Canon 5D. It's, I think, the first Canon 5D that came out. And we were living, my husband is from Egypt. He's an Egyptologist and was on camera on my show, as well as a fixer. His family has had a company for 40 years in Egypt as basically a production company for foreign filming. And I had moved there. We had our baby, and a job popped up. And I said, well, that would be great. I would love to shoot a documentary. I have a brand new baby. And he was like, we just to get a camera, like da da da. He's like, I have a friend coming from the United States. I'm going to get him to bring a camera back with him. So he brought the Canon, brought a couple lenses, and we stayed up the whole night preparing the camera because it arrived literally the day before the shoot. And that camera, and ultimately within, I don't know, a few months, was the camera that we were carrying with us when we fled Egypt during the revolution, and definitely got stopped by the military and got a lot of questions. What is this camera for? And I'm like, take pictures of my beautiful baby. So it came with us, and once we stayed, it was basically the workhorse that we used to get jobs at the beginning, especially when my husband first came. He would just go out with it and do job after job after job. Um, so here it is now, our Zoom camera.
Yeah, come full circle.
17, 16 years later.
I want to talk about that part of your life because it's a very obviously interesting and life-changing moment for you when you went through that. But let's go back to the beginning, if we may, Shara, because
Okay.
you're an East Coast girl, you're a Maryland girl, grew up in Baltimore.
Yep.
What do you remember of that time?
Um, I love Baltimore. It is a very eclectic, funky little city. Um, I grew up in a really small area that was it's a little bit country, but next to the city. So it had its own vibe. This town, Elk Ridge, it was just such an interesting place to grow up because there was money in the county. So we had so much educational stuff afforded to us that I think a lot of people didn't have. And then at the same time, there people that they were just getting by. My parents at that time were both working in housing, so they were both draftsmen and they were working in the industry that was building houses. And then that industry collapsed, and the area definitely went. I think we had our everyone remembers 2008 as being a collapse, but there actually was one in the 90s early with housing that really affected our family. Um, but I stayed there not that long. When I was 17, I left and I went to New York City. I wanted to be a hairstylist. I mean, I had been apprenticing to do hair, but mainly because I wanted to do fashion. I wanted to go to FIT in New York. So when I was in high school and someone said, you can be working and learning how to do hair, and that will be basically an economic engine for you so you can go to college because there was not going to be college money for me. And I did that. And I moved to New York when I was 17, turning 18. And I got a job the third day I was there in an amazing salon. And I worked there for a year, and I was just not happy being inside all day. I loved people's stories. That's where the storytelling part started for me, was just speaking to women. And sometimes they're not listened to all day long, and then they come in and they sit in the chair and I'm just blow drying their hair, and they get to talk and be the center of attention. When they go home, they are not. So I really connected to that time, and I also really liked the moments where I could make them feel good about how they looked. I was doing something for them. So that part never left me. And you'll find if you're on my set and you're a woman and I'm interviewing you, I'm not going to let your hair be out of place. I'm not going to let you not look good. It was very important to me. Um, and definitely with women who know, I let them choose their lighting, like where they like it to be. Some actresses really know where they like it to be. And that's all back to that time period. So I traveled very briefly, and then I worked some smaller jobs. And then 9/11 happened, and I was pretty young, living by myself in East Harlem. And I left maybe within 6 weeks because the whole vibe of New York City, it was so chaotic, for
Right.
me. And I left and I went to Breckenridge, Colorado, and I taught snowboarding for a few seasons
Ooh,
in
fun.
in the quiet of the mountains. Um, and when I went back home, I landed with my mentor in hair. Her husband was a prop master. He worked on the wire, and he was like, come PA with us. And I kept finding myself by the camera. And ultimately, one of the DPs was doing a project on the side for free for someone who was on the show, one of the producers. And he said, "Hey, you seem interested? Do you want to learn how to load film?" So the first AC and the DP, and they all gave me this chance, and I went and shot this little short film with them. And after that, I was obsessed. I never wanted to do. I had many jobs up until that point, but after that, I was like, this is where I want to be. And it just was a gravitational pull to the camera. Literally, every time I was on set, I would just be right where the camera was, right behind it. And it's not. I never even cared about being in front of the camera. You know what I mean? Like that was not. I was like, oh yeah, there's stuff going on there. What is this stuff?
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
And that was it. After I did that project, I found it was going to be very hard for me to break in. And I got an opportunity to PA on something in DC. It was a political show, a political competition show or something. It was a very interesting time. So that would have been 2004, I think.
Mhm.
And I met a DP on there who was very difficult. I was a PA. And I went to the people that were running the show and I was like, listen, I'm better than all these people. You should hire me as an AC. And they were like, yeah, yeah,
Did you
yeah.
really say that?
Yes. And the next day they came to me and they're like, so the DP is really difficult and he fired his AC. So here you go. Good luck. And I came to LA ultimately and worked with him on Pit My Ride. Scott Sandman is the one who gave me that opportunity. Anybody who knows him, he's a character. And I worked on Pit My Ride for 2 seasons. And uh, within maybe a year or two, I was operating. And that journey to operating would have taken me years if I had stayed in film.
But what
And
gave you the confidence, though, Shari? At that point, you're making your way, right? You're trying everything. You want to establish yourself. But
mhm.
what gave you the confidence and to be brazen enough to say, look, you should really hire me? Come on, not everybody has the goal to do that.
I saw them really undervaluing all the people that they had on the show. There were PAs that were from college. And I was ultimately, at this point, I was a professional. I
Mm.
was, I mean, I had Jerry Seinfeld was a client. Um, Ralph Lauren's entire family, I had done their hair. So even though I was only 20 or 19 at the time, I had done some of the biggest celebrities in the world. I'd done their hair. So I looked at the way they were treating these 20-year-old kids and I was like, first of all, they don't know anything, but also you're kind of treating them poorly. Like we were in DC in the middle of Georgetown and they're like, hey, go ahead and buy your own lunch. It's a walk away. And I'm like, do you know how expensive it is here? Like, we're making $90 for the day. None of us can afford Georgetown lunch. Um, and I was like, I think we should walk. And at that point, I basically was trying to get the PAs to quit because they weren't going to pay for our lunch. And they were like, wait, you'll stay if we pay for your lunch? I'm like, yes, it's the principle of the thing. So I was already kind of like bumping heads with people. And I was like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
I should be in that position.
Mm.
And I think you can ask Scott Sandman. I was a really good AC. I carried my weight for a long time. And it's funny now because if I try to AC for myself, sometimes I'm really bad at it. I'm like disorganized compared to how I was. But yeah, that's how I
We,
ended up drawn to the camera and ultimately staying in camera.
yeah. We've skipped past your education a little bit but you did go to university, you did go to community college as well.
Very, very briefly. But
What
I
were those
really,
experiences like, and why were they brief?
um, there was no money for me to go to college. And really, I had been apprenticing. I started working at the salon at 15 and 9 months. And ultimately, I got my license. And I was training from that point forward to be a hairstylist. Um, I did so many jobs. People are always like, "Whoa, you did that too?" I'm like, "Yes, I did that too." It was just a thing I was doing to get to a place. So I liked doing hair, but I knew it was because I wanted to do fashion. The reason I didn't actually do that is that working 12-hour days in a salon is difficult. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to start taking college classes now." But also, I realized that they were not my people because I was doing their hair. I met fashion people. I did the people from Tahari, like I did so many people's hair, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not like them." Even I tell people the story that I was doing Jerry Seinfeld's hair, and I was telling him because I was an assistant stylist, so I would do like the blow dries and take care of them. He I said, they're making fun of me because I don't know what this store is. You know, I can't even remember what it was. And he goes, you don't want to be like them. That's that it did, like, he was a very calm, quiet person, and he didn't really speak much. So I was just like, oh, yeah, here they are. They're making fun of me. Like, and he was just quiet. You don't want to be like them. And that was it. He didn't really say anything else. So I was like, well, okay, I'm just going to do your hair now. But he was right. I was different than that crowd, and not to like disparage anyone in fashion, but I was too shy and too intimidated, and not I also not creative enough in a way, in that way. Now I've been on, Project Runway and all these shows. I can see what it would have taken, but I also think seeing the contestants on Project Runway, it makes me sad that I didn't see it in myself. I was like, oh, I'm not. Look at who's a good designer now. It's mostly men, but there are so many people who now do that job that I'm like, well, but it wasn't meant to be for me. Even though if I had known, if I had, I really believe in a see it, be it moment. One of the reasons that I like to mentor people is I want them to see that they can do it. They can have children, they can have a career, because everyone needs whatever they're looking for. They need to see it so they can be it. And back then I didn't have that for fashion. So I just, went on to camera. Thank goodness.
So, as a child, then, or as a teenager, what were your influences? What were you doing, and what was appealing to you, and who were you paying attention to?
I loved Madonna and fashion. My walls were covered in, I would rip out the pages of the fashion magazines and put them all over my wall. I really loved, and I do still love and would love to do commercials like that, like just the act of getting those moments together, almost like when you get a ballerina and get her in that moment and then you take that shot. I love those moments, even though for me, I want to be more grounded and do good work. I also still really love beauty and fashion. I'm not following um, clothing the way I used to. I almost in my own life am very basic. Like I'm like my husband, I wear the same thing every day pretty much. So that's another thing, is it's not a passion for me. And whereas every day I am watching every single reel that comes across my phone on camera equipment, lighting, aperture fixtures, like I'm definitely obsessed with what I do now. So that was the right fit. But as a teenager, I grew up in a place where people didn't really get to do much, and frankly, drugs became a big thing where I lived, and for a lot of people at that time period, and the early 2000s, that opioids really became a problem in Baltimore. We lost a lot of people that I grew up with. Three of my best friends died of something drug related, and it's crushing because most of them had families that loved them so much. So my upbringing was watching everyone around me wish that they could do more, but not have any avenues to do more. And I'm still
Did
very
you
proud.
navigate? Yeah, but how did you navigate that as a young person then? Because you're surrounded by that culture, and you want to
Yeah,
break out of it because you left home at 17. But, as a young teenager in your formative years with those kind of, cultural influences and all your contemporaries around you, there's a pressure to it, isn't there, to fit in?
not for me.
No?
Um, One of the things I tell my daughter is I couldn't wait to drive because I don't drive with people who are drinking. I don't drink and drive myself. Like even I don't have a drink and drive. Um, so I was always very ready to not have to be. I was fascinated by the wildness of some of the girls that I grew up. I mean, half of my girlfriends, by the way, are, you know, they were from a better school, that they all had college educations, they have wonderful lives, but the wildness of the other group of girls that I grew up around and guys, I liked them so much because they were so wild and free.
Yeah.
And I was a very like, I'm a person who just is, I follow the rules. I do things the right way. And that has been me since the beginning. It was very hard to move to Egypt, by the way, because Egypt is very, like the traffic rules are very flexible. And I'm like, oh, I can kind of do whatever I want right now. So like it's a strange thing. I think I just always knew what I wanted. I wanted to do fashion since I was 8 years old. So I knew that nobody was going to do it for me. No one was going to help me. No one was going to give me college money. So I better figure out how to get myself where I want to go. So I never had a problem with feeling directionless. I always had a focus and a
You had a
direction.
focus, you had a purpose, and you were driven. But where does that influence come from? Why, at such a young age, at the age of 8, you said you knew what you wanted to do. Was
Mhm.
that family? Was your mother that way inclined?
My mother is an artist. She's free and wild and doesn't she had her everyday focus, which was to do those things, to paint and to write. That was pretty much it. Um, I still, she lives nearby. I brought her out here to live near me. But besides that, no. My grandparents, my grandmother's was really amazing. She was Hidden Figures, the movie.
Hmm.
That's what my grandmother was. So she was a human computer and had worked for IBM, and she somehow apparently is in a picture with Oppenheimer. Maybe she worked on the atomic bomb. We don't know. And my grandfather was an aeronautical engineer at the Applied Physics Laboratory. They were very driven people for engineering and science. My mom, this free, wild artist, very different. And then my dad, my stepdad who raised me, I think he's probably a pretty big influence. He's here now. As he's been here the last few days, I'm like, oh man, some of these things that like when you walk out the door, like check for your wallet and keys and phone, and he's been a volunteer firefighter for my entire life, and that kind of like needing to serve people is definitely from him. Like wanting to use what I have to do good comes from him, um, and being the caretaker of the kids, the caretaker of my mom, and like being the one who runs the ship. That's definitely from his influence. So that is my role in our family. Like everything gets organized by me, everything is focused by me. I'm trying to instill that in my kids, but it is hard because you end up being the one who's needs to be on everything under your control. But I don't know about the driven part because that is something sort of unique to me in comparison to the other people in my family.
You had mentioned to me that you sang,
Mm-hmm.
and you're also a writer. Where did that influence come from? Did your mother encourage that? Were you singing as a child?
Not really. My mom is a writer, although she writes vampire horror and historical novels. I don't tend to actually write. I think what I was explaining is that I wanted to write music especially in hard times, I wanted to write songs so that I could sing them, but I was always really scared to put down in words the pain I was feeling in case later on um, it somehow would get back to the person that I was singing about or the time that was hard for me because I think I understood that. And I used this example yesterday. If you look at Fleetwood Mac and you look at some of their biggest songs, it's about the two people who are having a problem within that. And imagine now they're in their 70s.
Mm.
They have to get on stage and sing to each other. Time casts a spell on you. And she's like
Yeah.
so angry in this song. She probably could care less about back then when he did, all these different things. So,
But that's pretty typical, though, of singer-songwriters. I mean, I think of some, Brandy Carlisle is another example. I mean,
oh,
she brings it right out there, out front, right?
yeah.
And for everyone around her, she's singing about to know how she feels. It- it- So that's something you maybe are processing, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just filmed with her at the Time Woman of the Year this year, and in a very small room, and I got to see her do her song almost alone. There was maybe 10 people with me, and I noticed that difference of one of the, it's not just that I never became a singer because I wasn't good enough. I actually don't believe in that in art. I don't believe people are not good enough artists. It's your expression, that's it. But she was so willing, even in her warm up, to just put all that emotion out into the room. And I have always felt like, no, no, I don't want to do that to people. I don't want to do that to people when I'm filming with them. I don't want to do that to them. I don't want to make them take on some burden from me while I'm with them. My job is to see them or
Hmm.
let them be seen. So I think that's it. And now my daughter is singing, and she's not writing songs yet, but we've been talking about like, is she going to do that? Is that something she's interested in? Because she could, I'm sure, but she's definitely more open in her expression, and I'm thankful for her development that way.
How do you feel you express yourself then, in a guarded way, because you're not Brandy and able to express as she does? How do you feel that you are able to as an artist?
I don't know. I do. My Like I said, my mom is a person who has to. There are artists who cannot do anything else. They wake up in the morning and that is their has to. I always knew I wasn't going to be that way, and maybe some of it is the engineer, art, side of my family. They did have small bits of art, and I think that's what I mean by I don't believe in there's someone who's good or someone who's not good. It's just your tool to express yourself. So I do sometimes digital art, sometimes paint. A lot of that has been with my children over the years. We have in my household anything you could ever want to create. There's a piece of equipment, there's an instrument. We've just bought a beautiful guitar this week. There's paints, there's clay, there's pottery. None of those things are my have to. Uh, so expression wise, I think the thing that I would love to do more of is sing. And last night we had a really magical moment. My dad is playing piano. He's a very gifted pianist. My daughter was playing bass and guitar and singing, and I was singing, and her boyfriend was playing the trumpet. And that's what I've always, and my husband was playing another guitar. I've always wanted that. That to
Yeah.
me is a dream. Um, there's a singer, a country singer, and she has a song called "The Pick and Shed." Like, come down, bring your instruments, bring yourself, bring your stories, make music. Like, if there is a dream of what I would do the rest of my life, when I'm not working, that's it. What we did last night.
Yeah.
So
Jamming.
that, and it's historical for my family. My Jenkins side of my family, that is something that I've been told they did. They used, they were living in Virginia, West Virginia. There's a lot of like coal miner kind of,
Mhm.
old country folk, and that was what they did. And I can feel it when I'm making music.
Do you see there's a singer-songwriter in you that is bursting to come out? Do you see that coming together?
The singing, I always want to do more of it. Really, the reason because I was shy about it. So I sang here, I sang there. I never was like doing it for real. My daughter is really doing it. Now I really understand like musicianship is something I didn't understand. I'm like, oh, you just have a talent. You do that talent.
Yeah.
Not that she really is understanding how music works. She's diving in and I'm watching it happen. And now I'm like, oh, I'm just like a hobbyist over here. But it is still so much fun and it's fun to do it together.
Mhm.
So, but the way that I finally started singing was when I had kids. I would sing to them, and I felt, oh, I have a tool that I can use. And then the next kind of iteration of that was someone asked me to sing in a Unitarian church, and they do, you can choose basically non-denominational songs because they're kind of you can have every religion in the room. So I sang, and I happened to choose a song called "Angel from Montgomery"
Yeah.
by Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah.
And one of the people had just lost his wife, and he was like right in my eye line, and I was singing the song, and he kind of sighed, and his son put his hand on his shoulder, and I went, "Oh, I'm creating a time and a place where he can feel these feelings.
Yeah.
That is what I can do." So instead of feeling like, because I don't want people to be like, look at me, I'm on stage, look at me, I'm singing. Oh, sorry. I'm not professional, I'm touching the mic. That moment of realizing that my voice could be used for setting the stage for people to feel what they needed to feel for the entire week. Like they couldn't let it out. They couldn't feel the sadness for losing someone or being disconnected from their family or their parent or the, whatever it was, they could cry basically. Not that I wanted to make people cry, but I just knew that if I brought enough emotion to the room, they could just take that space and have
That's
it
a
and be
gift.
there.
That's a gift, Sharra.
Yeah, and we recently lost our piano player. I don't want to get emotional, but Kevin Matthey, who played piano with me for years, every time I would sing, he just passed away, and he was so amazing.
Yeah, and but
um,
now, I mean, it's a way to express yourself, and it's empowering for you too,
mm,
right? It puts you in a position from somebody who was shy,
yeah,
and now, and so often you hear of singers and actors who are by nature shy, but once they get on the stage or on set, that all that all just fades into the background and they can truly become themselves and express their emotions in an artistic way. But I think what you just highlighted there was that itself is a gift. And you think that, when you're not working and the children are getting bigger and you'll have more time for this, this is going to be
Chris,
magical.
you didn't tell me this was gonna be a therapy session, Chris. You got me crying over here.
No, you won't be the first. You certainly are not the first, Shara. But it's a safe space, so I hope you feel that.
No, and I the moments where I can highlight the people that have, helped us, supported us, and really those losing someone so young, he was not an older person. It just you want them to know, even if it's like shouting out to the universe right now, like you mattered to me, you made a difference. You
Yep. Let's let's talk about happy times. Meeting your husband now of 17 years.
know? Yeah,
Let's bring him into the picture because I met him earlier, and I know that he's been working with Gretchen. Another shout out to
yes, they
Gretchen.
were literally just on a show together. I'm going to turn my air conditioning on. It is not working. Um, so Rami and I met on a show. It's a monster hunting show. And people go, what? Like they didn't hear that right. It was called Destination Truth on Sci-Fi. And the host, Josh Gates, who's still a friend, um, I had heard that this job was kind of around. I was camera operating at the time. I was working with my friend Jason Hafer and the director Rich Kim on a dating. It was like a matchmaking show, and I knew it was going to be trouble because Rich really likes when his operators stay with him. And I went to him and I was like, I'm so sorry. I heard about this job. It's a step down for me, actually. It was going to be a tech soup.
Mhm.
And he was like, fine, do it. Um, Jason Hafer was just the DP on the show with my husband. So that circle has continued ever since way back when. But I had seen my friend Gabe and his girlfriend at the time, now wife, at a restaurant. And he said, oh, you would probably be really good for this thing. It's travel all around the world, 18 locations, 13 countries for 3 months. We leave, we don't come back. I've done it already. It's a wild ride. And I, at the time, had always wanted to travel, had not had the opportunity to do more than a little bit of travel with my family when I was young. And I was like, yes, it's going to be a downgrade in pay, an upgrade in amount of hours worked. But I interviewed for that and ultimately got the job. You're on camera some of the time. So I quickly found how much I disliked that. I was always like, please stop
Yep.
shooting me. But that was a crazy adventure. Most people in their life will never get to do what we did. And Josh has done it now, still 17 years later. Last night, he announced that they found the Pan Am flight that went down over Puerto Rico with his Expedition Unknown and other things. So he's still out there doing this crazy thing. But we basically would go to places, set up camp overnight, and try to capture evidence of things like uh, the swamp ape or the Yeti or a curse of King Tut's tomb, which ultimately brought me to Egypt. So we did Florida, Alaska, Peru, Chile, Romania, Ukraine, Egypt. It was, and then Bhutan. which is one of the most amazing places you could ever visit.
Mm-hmm.
Rami's family has had a production company in Egypt for 40 years. My mother and father-in-law, Romani and Mary, are amazing. And my sister-in-law was also a part of the company, Sarah. She has her own production company now. And they, I had received an email while I was in Chernobyl that was as soon as we came out and like went to the hotel, it was like, you need to give me all these numbers off of the equipment, which is when you're traveling, if you have equipment, it's called a carnet. Not all countries are carnet countries.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to just have the equipment list, and Egypt is one of those places. So I'm receiving this email from this guy, and I was like, no. I basically wrote back, and he CC'd my bosses and was like, you have to do this. Oh no, sorry, Chris.
That fancy camera of yours.
Fancy camera. Oh no, Rami. I'm supposed to touch the thing every once in a while.
There
Sorry.
you go. You're back.
He CC'd my bosses and I got in a little bit of trouble. Not really, but then when we landed, he made sure to come straight to me. He grabbed me by the arm and he said, you need to listen to everything I tell you so we can get out of this airport. And I was like, off of me. Within 3 days, he pretty much had my heart because he was so talented. He was so good at what he did. Obviously, he was very handsome. But I had not really met my match at that point. No offense to all the people out there at the time. Men just were not as driven and focused as me at what I did. I just was having trouble making that connection with somebody else. So when I met him, I was like, oh, you know, you get it. You get me. We also ended up, we were doing Curse of King Tut's tomb. So we were literally spending the night. Our first night together was in King Tut's tomb. And everybody, the second meal, you know, when you're shooting, you have a meal every 6 hours, so to speak. And this one was at like 2 a.m. and it was shrimp salad, which I avoided because we were in Egypt in the desert in the middle of the night. And I was like, I'm not eating shrimp salad. Are you crazy? And he got sick and I took care of him.
Oh no.
And that's how we ended up developing a bond. I've always had tummy trouble. He was having tummy trouble. We were like, I got you. I know how to help you. And after that, there was like 1 day left of the shoot. And I was like, what am I going to do? I like him so much. And everyone on the crew was like, yeah, you know, whatever, showmance. We left and we went to Bhutan for 2 weeks, and there's almost no internet there. And then I went back to LA and he came to visit me. And that was really, you know, that trip, like that he did it, that he came that far was just such a big deal for me. And in very short order, realized that we needed to be in each other's lives. And probably with, I think, November, so that was April. In November, we got married. That was it. We were like, it was very easy too. It was like, hey, do you want to get married? Yeah, sure, let's get married. And then we like went and just did it. No big show because we're not like that really. We don't kind of celebrate things in a big way. It's like the actual work is the actual work. Like the celebration part is just not as important to us. So that was really fitting. We also didn't believe in spending tons of money on something that we could take that money and put it in our investment, our company, our house, or whatever. And that's still how we function today. We'd much rather buy a camera than go on a fancy vacation.
But the wedding itself, did you have a first dance then?
Not really. We got married on the beach,
Oh,
barefoot.
okay.
Just a friend and his wife came. We had planned to have a bigger wedding with family, but it was the right thing for us to just take. I basically called my friend and said, hey, we're right down the street from your house. You want to come down and be a witness? And he brought his now wife, and they were our witnesses, and it was perfect because it was just us telling each other, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be committed. We're going to be together, and that's how we roll.
And here you are, 17 years later and 3 children.
Yep. We ended up ultimately, you know, moving to Egypt, or like we lived in Egypt, but we went back to Egypt after we got married and started working and started doing things. And within 6 months of my daughter being born, the country had a revolution. The Arab Spring happened,
Right.
And that was really, you know, the Egyptian people are amazing. I really enjoyed living there. I try to like push him sometimes because my family is there half the year and they're here half the year. And I'm like, let's go be there more because I just loved the food. I loved the chaos of Cairo. You know, it's visual storytelling at all times. Not to
Ooh.
mention that shooting most of our projects were about ancient Egyptian history and archaeology, and my husband is an Egyptologist. So that was fun. I mean, I could never get tired of going into the tombs and filming. And at one point, we were living here and went back to film, and I got to go in the Tomb of Osiris, which is a place almost no one gets to go. That is like 2 football fields down under the earth. And you're like, I'm in a place that someone had to dig down this. They built this
Yeah.
5,000 years ago. Like I could never get tired of that. So for me, I really love Egypt, and I was sad that they were having trouble.
Hmm.
And you know, we just wanted to be safe, so we left just to make sure that we would, you know, not when things went down, we just didn't want to be in a place where we couldn't protect ourselves. And then we went back within 6 months. We were back. Um, um, so it was a wild time. But when we left, and we left very quickly, we ultimately landed at my dad's house in Syracuse, and that
Okay.
was such a shock to go from Cairo to. There was like 3 feet of snow on the ground, very quiet town. You know, you go from the bustle and hustle and color and food and sounds to just Wegmans and
Yeah.
Syracuse.
Wegmans in Syracuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a transition for you, though. But you determined that you were going to raise your children over here. It was going to be safer. But in terms of your career, at the same time, Shari, it sounds to me from what you were saying earlier that you were able to go from one job to another. You pretty much had a consistent path, which is unusual in the business, right? You know, bum, 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 just, good times and bad times, you were able to stay hired in the industry. Does it feel like that when you look back at it now in your career path?
I mean, I certainly, with each child, so with Sophia, I worked when she was 6 weeks old and I had had a C-section.
Mhm.
That was insane. I should have never done that. I ended up crashing the car because of exhaustion. And I was in a foreign country having had my baby. But by the way, the medical care was so much better. I felt very cared for, but
Oh, I've lost your audio.
do you hear me
Okay, I can now.
now? Do you
It's
think the battery died or it fell? But
yeah. Well, thank you, Emily. It's good that we've got a professional in the house here to fix the audio. Thank you.
both of them? Okay. But you can still
Uh,
hear me?
I could hear you fine. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, ultimately, I went back at 6 weeks with Sophia. We were doing a documentary. Let me make sure the air is on. Oh my God, it is hot in here. Um, and then with Leo, my second baby,
Mhm.
we had him in Egypt. We had moved back to Egypt then. We delivered Leo again with my amazing doctor. Um, and then we moved.
Oh, lost you again. Did you touch the mic? No audio. Ah, now what?
Right, you can.
Oh, there we go. Now we have you.
Now we have me. Um, Leo was born in Cairo. We flew back. I started working when he was 2 months old. I think my first job back was drag race. And that was a very interesting experience because he was little at home and I was breastfeeding. So I was pumping 5 times a day, shooting 12 and a half hour days, 6 days a week on between drag race and whatever else I was on at the time. I don't remember, but I would have to like find, where do you pump when you're on a show like that? I would find an empty room where interviews would be taking place at some point, but I didn't really know where to go. And I'd be like hiding behind black curtains trying to pump. And sometimes I'd be in crew vans. People would be like, "What's that sound?" I'm like, "My breast pump back here." So I went through that when there weren't a lot of women who had kind of done it. Again, not having that see it, be it moment.
Mhm.
Um, and I was really happy that I would have conversations. There were men who'd be with like sitting next to me in the van while I have my cover on while I'm pumping, who'd be like, "So tell me about this. Like, how does this work? Me and my wife are about to have baby." And like, so I kind of made sure that I was showing people you can do this, but I was also obviously pumping because I needed to. Um, and then with my youngest child, I took 6 months off because I was exhausted. And he was a very big baby and a lot of work at the time. So I just needed more time. But really, I never stopped. I was working with Sophia. I was working up until I was almost in labor. I was 8 months pregnant, and I had to leave work in the middle of the day because I was not feeling well. With Leo, I worked up until I was doing Cupcake Wars, pregnant, standing on the table. The director's like, "What are you doing? Get down off the table." And then with Geo, I was working, but I didn't work as much. It was just a harder pregnancy, probably because I was a little older. But I think the reason that I kept working is that for a lot of times, I mean, I'm just thankful I had people who we had good working relationships.
Mhm.
So they wanted me on their team because I was still the same person, despite the fact that I now had children. And the other thing was I started to take unconventional clients. And I think one of the reasons why I've had luck now is that I'm working with kind of a mixture. I have corporate clients. I have, you know, I've worked with Time Magazine for 5 years now, and I really love them. I love their team, and I love all the stuff that I get to do with them, highlighting women for Woman of the Year and a lot of cover videos. And I've even been able to interview for Time. I got to interview Demi Moore as well as set everything up. And that was like, whew, very nerve-wracking. Um, and then we have a client every year we do an award show for 10, 11 years now. He's a very good friend, Nick Nanton, and his company DNA. Rami is and I both have done documentary work for them and won some awards. So I never said like, oh, I don't do that. And I've done some scripted, mostly comedy, which I would prefer. Regular scripted shows might be a little bit slower for me. Like I think maybe my kind of need to move forward when you're really like setting things up slowly. Comedy, I would enjoy more because I would rather laugh than shoot something very dark and heavy. So yeah, I think the mixture of clients and also that we're both in the business. So sometimes it's us together. Sometimes he's passing me something. And obviously his entire crew is my friends, my friends. So everything he's built is from people that I had known first and built those relationships. So having a partner has been very helpful. A lot of people think they don't want to work with their partner or whatever. They're, not comfortable with that situation. There was a definite defining moment early on when we first moved here when I was working at Tastemade, which is a food. They did a lot of food tabletop stuff back then. And he came in and did a project, and he was very bossy, and I was the boss. So it was a defining moment of who's going to be the boss. Somebody has to be.
Mm.
And in that moment, I kind of in at that time thought, you're better at it. I'm going to step back and be supportive. And that's changed now because now I have more time, I have more energy, and now I can go be my own boss, be separate. But definitely when we're together, that hierarchy is just something that falls into place. You can't help it. Um, and so there was definitely that moment where we had to make a decision. Hey, we're going to work together. I don't like that you're being bossy because I'm the boss. Okay, you know what? You make those decisions and you carry that weight. And I'm going to go all around you to do all the things that I want to do to make it successful. And that was actually freeing for me because I got to make really beautiful stuff. For the first time, I was like, had the time and to light and do things that I wanted to do where I was not having to be in meetings or whatever it was at the time. So, maybe other people would have made a different decision, but for us, that was what made it work and has made it successful.
So all the shyness that you had in the past, that's faded away now. You're the confident woman who knows exactly where she is and where she wants to be and who she is.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you feel
I,
that? Do you feel stronger and empowered and having a place in the industry now?
I feel that we are all I think something that is really important to point out is that each time I had a child and I was not working, I felt like I was not in the business.
Ah,
And even if those were short periods of time, I was like, does anyone know who I am? Does anyone remember me? Am I still me? And I think I have heard a lot of men who are not working because of our industry changing have those same feelings, but not attribute it to a short period of time. So for me, it was like, am I real? Okay, there's a child. Once we get over this hump, I'm going to try to get back in. And now you have a lot of men who are saying, am I, do I matter? Do I count? Because their work just dried up and there's no short-term thing that was the reason. And it's a depression. I have heard a lot of people, not just men, a lot of men and women both speak about how they're feeling like they don't they don't exist anymore and they're so scared about their future. So I think that is I'm always thinking, what are we going to do next and how are we going to keep going into the future? But I certainly think I can lead a team. And a lot of times now, when I took an opera class and I was in the opera class and I was like, this person does not know how to lead this room. I can lead this room. Like I can make this work so much better. So I definitely know what I'm good at. And now I find people to fill in the places that I'm not good. But I really just want to do a good job for the people that hire me. I want to be a good presence on set, and I want to bring my friends and the people that have been really hard workers along the way with me so that they are working. That's my goal, day to day now.
and you had mentioned how you enjoy mentoring too. That's important to you now.
Yeah, I was at the Society of Camera Operators for 4 years on the board as the co-chair for inclusion, and mentoring was really important to me. It became harder for me to manage that position, and I'm really glad that Chanel Alvarez had taken over for me last year. I kind of went to her and was like, I can't do this. And she has a young child too. And she was like, I got this. And she's doing an amazing job. So I haven't been doing as much of mentoring, but I've pivoted now. I'm working on a project called Mamas with an amazing filmmaker, Michelle Ellie. She is an actor and a producer, but she wrote the script 10 years ago. So I'm going to DP that with her. She's built an entire crew, and we hope that that is a moment for her that she can push forward. There's another person who I worked with recently who also has a script, and I was like, let's do it. I have the gear. I have the time, you know what I mean? I'll make the time. I'm kind of looking at this more now as a way of, I have all these resources available to me. Let's make stuff that can help people get back in or get to where they want to go, make the projects that they dreamt of making or that they hope will catapult them into a different place. A lot of people want to do different things because the area they were in has now basically dried up or stopped or whatever. And I have two projects like that. And then yesterday I was talking with a friend. We worked on Red Table Talk together. He's a photographer, Stan Evans, and we're basically just looking at what can we build? What can we do with, he's an amazing photographer. I have all these things. We can teach each other. We can go find clients who would value us. So we're talking about working together. And then I'm the unofficial tech, or I don't know what the right word would be. My husband has built an app for camera plotting.
Oh,
uh, it's called CamPlot, and I'm the person who bugs him every single day to fix it and make it different or do add things. I'm like, can you add this for me? Can you add that for me? And I'm using that camera plot on, I'm doing, I just did the Ultimatum reunion. I use that with my director, and we're both trying to figure it out. So that's a fun thing that we have that in the house. It's like my own personal camera plot app.
fun.
Yeah.
When you glance back, if you have time, Shara, to look at your career path, what would have been those defining moments on your journey that were kind of the turning points, the milestones that have got you to where you are now? Were there any big ones that you thought, well, that was right place, right time?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a continuous line for me. I'm definitely, I got to direct a commercial for for a Omnicom and a pharmaceutical brand this year. And that was really fun I had an amazing talent with us, Natalie Morales, and I got to lead that team. Had a lot of amazing women on it, and that felt really good. And I hope to do more directing. I don't always have to be the director. I don't always have to be the center, but I certainly like organizing things and making them run well, be proficient, be beautiful. And so I have to be in a leadership position of some kind because I don't want to step on someone's toes unless I'm with someone collaborative. You know what I mean? That's ultimately, I don't mind not being in leadership as long as I can have a say because I have a voice and I need to use it. So
Mm. Yeah.
the director I work with a lot, Anna Malaise and more, she is amazing and she knows what she wants, but she's always willing to hear my perspective. And we've been working on projects for the last 2 years now, and she's also so much fun. Um,
I've heard
and
how
we
much fun she is. You know, she was on the show too.
Yeah, she's amazing. And we did her podcast. I don't know if she talked about her podcast, but I believe in her podcast and her voice. She's talking about dating after 50 and she puts such a fun perspective on it. So we did that together over 5 days last year. So yeah. I don't know. I don't look back and think, oh, there's these different defining moments. The defining moments for me is when I had to leave New York City because of 9/11, when I had to leave Cairo because of a revolution, when I had to leave my house because of fires
Yeah.
last year. So it's really these big moments of like shifting, but I actually love shifts like that. I think sometimes, I mean, I moved like 50 times in my life, so I like a start over. I feel like it gets the cobwebs out. I would love
Yep.
to do it right now, but my kids love where they are and they love their schools. So I have to wait a few years before I can do that. But I imagine in 5 years from now, when everybody's kind of out and settled, that I will probably have moved by then and move somewhere else and just to experience something different. I need that.
Obviously comfortable with change. But you were born in October, so you're a Libran, right?
Yeah,
So
Libra.
which
Yeah.
is Libra? So you're very even keel, aren't you?
I don't
Would
know if
you
my
say?
I don't know if my kids would say that. Maybe.
What are you most looking forward to the rest of the year now, Shara? I mean, work-wise or and vacation time with the children while they're on break?
Um, My daughter got to go to Berkeley School of Music for camp, so I flew her out there a few weeks ago and then flew her back. And my son got to visit Japan with his school. And now we were supposed to go to the mountains today, but we're probably going to do some beach time and some open mic nights where my dad and my daughter can play music. And then we're going to go to Egypt after I do a project next week.
Okay.
So we'll go for, I wish we could go for more time. Honestly, it is so beautiful. We go to the North Coast. It's the Mediterranean. It's so blue and amazing. My mother and father-in-law take care of us so well. So when we go there, it's such a nice time. But my daughter is very eager to get her license as soon as she gets back. So we have to come back.
I'm wondering if she takes over the wheel, then does she get to choose what music goes on
Oh,
in the car? And
that's
what
been
the
the case.
karaoke moments might be like in your car, in your family car. Do you
Oh,
do
we have a
karaoke?
karaoke machine. Don't worry about that. We definitely do.
Car karaoke?
Yeah, but actually, we don't need last night, we had the real thing. We had a real
Yeah.
piano player, bass player, guitar player, trumpet player. We have the mic that I got her for Berkeley, and we were really singing.
You know, the fun thing about the end of this show, what we do is, and I hope you've got your guests lined up because you get to choose six guests, living or dead, that you would invite to a dinner party.
I mean, it would be my family. I don't really think about other people and having conversations with them. I think there's a time when I did, um, but I used to get on a plane and just be happy to talk to someone that was sitting next to me. And over the last years, our country has become very divided, and I don't tend to start those conversations anymore. I don't tend to reach out as broadly as I used to. Um, so really, the most important thing is our time is limited with the people that we love, and that's who I would want to have around the table. Maybe we would add my great grandmother and great grandfather because they were kind of amazing. She was a te my great grandmother got her degree in 1909, and she was a teacher. I met her students when my grandmother passed away 5 years ago. I went to the funeral, and there were my great grandmother's students. They were like, "You're Peg's great granddaughter? Oh, she was hard." she had taught her whole life until she died basically at 90, whatever, 85 years old. So I think between her and my great grandfather, who was a pioneer car maker, I might like to sit in on a dinner at their household
Mm.
and listen to them and hear their stories. But mainly, it's exactly who's here. If my mother and father-in-law were also here and not in Egypt right now, and my mom who's down the street, and I like my neighbors very much, Megan and Jeff and their kids, and I like my friend Rob and Emily, who Rob is a camera operator with us, and Emily is a producer. So I would just have the same people that I have for Christmas and
Okay.
and for parties. Those are my people, and I like them so much, and that's it.
Would this be an outdoor party? Because, if it's not a formal dinner party, I don't see a formal dinner party. I see this.
We have. You should see our Christmas table. So, and that's
Oh, okay.
exactly who is here.
Okay. But would it be if this is one special occasion that you get to choose?
Yeah, we build the table. I have a 10-person table, and then we
Okay.
add a six this table actually that's behind me, 6-person table, and we've made like the entire thing. That's our Christmas dinner, and it's our neighbors, and actually their grandmother is turning 100 this year. So her 100th birthday at our Christmas dinner. It's on Christmas. So that is a very special occasion for us, Margie. And then, but most of the time, it's going to be in the backyard. We have a
Yeah.
beautiful pool. We have my husband likes to listen to Cake endlessly. Anyone who watches this will laugh because they know he listens to the band Cake endlessly. And we just have as many people crowd in as possible, get a taco person. So that's for me special.
Would you
I
cook?
I wouldn't want to hurt anyone with my cooking. So we get a professional. The same taco caterer for 15 years has come to our house. Bryce sells catering and they do an amazing job. And they make tacos all day. We really do this. We used to do it so much before COVID, and we would have
Mm.
as many camera friends, film friends come as possible. And it was just such a joy to have families around. So that is for me what would be my family, any friends, like big party, us all together all day. That's my favorite.
That's
Yeah.
that's the chosen party.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Sherry, this has been fun. Can you remind everybody how they can find you online? I know you have your own website.
Oh, I just had a light go out. The DP has a light go out right at the last second.
Yeah.
Um, so you can find me sharraromany.com, which I have to shout out that my husband built my website and
Okay.
rebuilt it
Okay.
recently. He's very proud and won't let me get anyone else to help me with it. Although my one of our assistants, Tori, has helped me in the past, and she's amazing. And then I'm just on Instagram. I'm kind of not a TikTok person. My daughter's about to be allowed to have TikTok, so I think we're going to explore, putting some stuff on there because I just can't handle it.
How do you feel about social media and AI?
Um, so AI has its purposes. I thought I've noticed it's getting dumber. I hope it's not listening. I've been noticing that I can't use the voice thing anymore on my phone. It has no idea. You've seen a lot of videos where people are having the chats talk to each other, but Rami's using one of them to build this app and to make the updates. So it has its purposes and its place. I think these larger problems are with how that gets done with data centers and water usage and stuff is
Mm.
the big thing I don't know much about. But social media, for my kids, I have them start like I delay it as much as I can. So at 14, they're allowed to choose one. She got Instagram, he got something else, and then I'm waiting. I had to let her get Snapchat because apparently they use it for, for like school things,
Hmm.
which was annoying because I was trying to keep her off Snapchat. Um, but you know, you give it to them when they're ready. We've done a lot of documentaries about kids getting hurt. Red Table Talk had a lot of very important episodes about strangers reaching and getting children and making them take pictures and things like that. And then we've done documentaries on trafficking. So I have that view. I can't help it. My poor kids, they get the hard end of that of like, nope, you're not going on that platform. Sorry. I've been there. I have interviewed people. I know. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've got a house full and a life full of work ahead of you, Sherry, to
Yeah.
continue to be creative. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris. I know it's going to be a rambling journey through through listening to all the things,
It is
but
your story.
yes, anyone who's met me knows exactly how I talk, and that's it.
I love it. Well, thank you for taking time to share it with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for dealing with the tech issues that we had,
Well,
lights and
yeah,
mics and everything.
we just take those in our stride.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in this week. And don't forget to follow us on social media at the Art Podcast and also on Call Time. This episode will be on both shows. So that's coming up very shortly here on Hollowell at Hollowell Studios. And don't forget, we've got a new website, hollowellstudios.com, where you'll find all the podcasts in one place. And as I said, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you'd like to drop us a line, if you have any suggestions for guests, we'd love to hear from you. That is hollowellstudios@gmail.com. I'll be back again very soon with another episode. So do join me then. Thank you for listening.